you've been feeling the call to write a book, it is no accident. Your book is needed in the world, so let's make it happen. I'm Nicola Humber, and this is the Unbound Writers Club. Hello and welcome to the Unbound Writers Club. Today I am joined by the author of one of our latest releases at the Unbound Press, Hazel Anderson-Turner, whose book, Coaching Through Burnout, is like a burnout prevention toolkit for busy leaders and their teams. So Hazel is a psychologist and a coach. She's someone I first met at a yoga retreat many, many years ago. Like really resonated with Hazel. We stayed in touch. And when it came to the time when she knew that she wanted to write a book, I began to hold space for her in that process. Originally, it was a completely different book. And then she felt the call to write Coaching Through Burnout, which is very directly related to the amazing work that she is doing in the world. And yeah, it was such a joy to hold space for Hazel in her process, to see her complete and birth this book into the world. Like, the impact it's having already is huge, and I'm excited to see, what happens next. Anyway, in this conversation, Hazel and I dive into, why she decided to write this particular book and what the process was like for her. And she gives like a really helpful tip for writers who are more at the beginning of their journey as well. Anyway, I'm going to zip it and introduce you to Hazel. Let's dive in. So, Hazel, welcome to the Unbound Writers Club.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
It's really good. Really good to have you here. I'm interested to see what comes through in our conversation. I always begin with the same question, which is, what makes you an unbound writer?
Now, I knew that, and yet I didn't prepare my answer.
Good, because we can see what wants to come through in this moment.
What makes me an unbound writer? I think that, I don't know, I loved your very early work about good girl stuff, and I think I am a model good girl. So I can smash good girl when I want to. And I think when it came to writing the book, I really had to battle with my mind around writing something that felt credible and academic and was something very serious and adult. And I had to work hard to hold on to the fact that the reason that people like to have my energy in their space, the reason why my courses resonate with people and my talks resonate with people, is because of my humanness and my vulnerability and the humor that I bring to heavy topics. And so I feel that my unboundness is about my ability to hold on to that humanness and not give in to the shoulds around kind of what a book should be, particularly a book on something like burnout, which is, obviously not a fun time for people.
No. So, it's quite it's quite something to be able to bring humor into that. But you've done it.
Well, I mean, I've done it. Whether it lands or not, we'll see.
It definitely has landed and is landing. I mean, I feel like that's what we kind of bonded over when we first met, like way back, before either of us were involved with writing books or anything like that. The good girl piece, but also the humor. Like, I've always loved that about you. So the fact that you can bring it through in your writing in
And
such
you know
a
what?
good
That's
way.
just reminded me of when we first met. So I was writing my newsletter for this month, and I'm sending it out on the 14th of February. And I like to do a different take on love. And the retreat that we met on, which
Mm,
was years ago,
mm,
I discovered the poem that the lovely Laura, yoga teacher, had put on my pillow
mm,
that day, which was about letting go. And I think it's called She Let Go.
Yeah,
And again, I think there is so much, isn't there, in that letting go piece. And I just think it's really interesting, isn't it? The fact that we've known each other for years and it's come to the point, the serendipity of you publishing my book and, this connection with, letting go in the process. Because I think for me, as a, self-confessed control freak, uh, so much of it isn't about the stuff that we need to add in. So much of it is about the stuff that we have to take out and let go of and unlearn. And I think that comes through in the way that I write the book and also in the theme of the themes and within the book.
totally. Totally. Well, let's talk about the book and what made you decide to write this book. Like when we first connected around writing a book, you were writing a completely different book. So what, and I know a lot of people listening to this will get that and resonate with it. Like often we start writing one particular book, we have one idea, and then something else drops in and becomes more present. So what happened for you to decide to write Coaching Through Burnout?
So I'd wanted to write a book for a while, and I'd played with different ideas, and the books had got to different stages. And I think for anyone that is in that place, that taught me about writing. That was really important part of this process. And I found writing incredibly healing and incredibly helpful for just me to live. So I think, those books that haven't made it, maybe one day they will, but I gained so much from that then helped me to very quickly write Coaching Through Burnout. So the reason that book was shouting at me to be written was because I had been working with the NHS around burnout prevention, and I'd been delivering in this course called Coaching Through Burnout, which had received just so much beautiful feedback, and it was so clear to me the impact that it was having, the positive impact, not only on the people who attended the course, but also on their teams and their colleagues and their families. And so when the funding ended, I was really, really sad. And I went out to other places to say, hey, would you like these courses? And obviously, and every NHS trust went, yeah, no, we don't have any money either. It's terrible. And so, you decide, don't you, what you do with that emotion. And again, I really resist calling, what we would call negative emotions, negative emotions. They are uncomfortable emotions. And you decide what you do with the discomfort. So I could have just let it go and moved on. But I decided that it was too important. And what I wanted to do was to take that course and also the way that I coach within the NHS when I'm supporting someone to prevent burnout, and not just in the NHS, but other organisations. And I felt really, really compelled to put this into a book to spread the word more widely. It didn't feel like it was right for it to end, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A really powerful way to do that. And like you say, to take those uncomfortable emotions and like channel them into creating something, putting something else out there into the world. So, the fact that it was based on this course that you had run a number of times, you knew like the impact that this work was having. What was it like translating that into a book?
So part of it was quite easy in the sense that I was trying to capture my voice, and I was trying to take stuff that I said a lot and put it into print. So that was the easy bit. The harder bit, which was, I think, one, really getting clear on my audience, because it is a book that I think will be interesting to leaders who were the primary people that I was delivering to, but also I had in my mind, coaches would be interested in this as well. But when I started splitting my attention between the two of them, that got me a bit tangled. And also, as you know, I wrote quite a serious adult version of the training course and then ripped that up and decided to write it in much more experiential, so much more in the way. So I did get caught up into the it sounding proper, you know, and serious. So I think when I let go of that and when I was able to connect into what is it that I say in those courses, what is it that I say so much in coaching sessions, what are the Hazelisms to capture. And also I think I made a decision quite early on. So I love books. What I was really mindful of is I didn't want to write a big tome of everything that I knew about everything, because I think that is a risk,
Yeah,
particularly when I was getting into the acceptance and commitment coaching element. I wanted, these are people who are struggling with time.
yeah,
So I purposely decided to keep it quite short, to keep it accessible. The people that have come back to me now who've already started reading the book, they're like, oh yeah, I read half of it over the weekend. And I want it to be very practical. And I think that helped me in the sense of I didn't put lots of pressure on myself to write everything that I knew about it.
yeah. No, that can be a big temptation. Absolutely. And like you said, when you first got your copy, I have a copy of it here now, you could put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not tiny, but
Yeah, you can. And you can put it in a little bag. I think there is that thing of I had a wonderful message from a friend that I met on my master's course 20 years ago. And she messaged me, hadn't spoken to her for ages, and she said, "Oh, thank you so much, Hazel, but you got me through my hairdressing appointment." She said, I hate being at the hairdressers. I've got to sit still." And just, the fact that I could just put your little book in my bag and take it with me was brilliant. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's important because, we were talking a little bit about overwhelm before we hit record, and we don't want to overwhelm our reader. We want to make it really like easy for them to engage with what we're sharing. And yes, I think when we're writing a book, particularly if it's the first book we've written, it's like, well, I've got to cram everything I know about this into it. And again, it's about actually what can I take out to make it easier for my reader to actually get this.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think knowing what you want your reader to do. So I think a lot of the books that your community write are about really rich stories where as a reader I want to get in there and get really cozy. And so I'm quite, I don't know, I'm quite comfortable maybe with a bit more and that
yeah,
richness. Whereas my book was very much about people taking action.
yeah,
So it was very much about you're gonna learn a little something, take a little nugget and go away and use it. So it's not necessarily find a comfy seat
yeah,
and while away hours getting lost in someone else's story. There are absolutely stories in there, but they're very purposeful
yeah,
and really designed to enable someone to go, oh, click, yes,
yeah.
I'm going to go and take that action now.
Totally, totally. I love that distinction. Were there any particular fears or doubts that came up for you during the process of writing this book?
So I had the fear of nobody's going to read it. And
Hmm.
then I realized nobody's going to know if nobody's read it. And then the much bigger fear is, oh my God, people might actually read it and it might be awful. And all of this business that I've built up on my reputation is going to come crumbling down. And I think also because I do share some of my story,
Mm,
there was also I don't have any, what does Brené Brown call it, like a vulnerability hangover. So I don't have any vulnerability hangover because I haven't shared anything that I'm not at peace with. But I think there was that bit around, because a lot of my work is coaching, people don't know about me. So
mm,
I will share little bits that are helpful, but I'm not there going, oh, let me tell you all about me and what happened to me. And I think, there is a bit of like, oh, people are going to know me more. I don't know
mm,
that
mm.
nervous. And now, interestingly, and this has only come up in a couple of days, because I captured a lot of the things that I say and put them into the book, particularly the jokes that I use repetitively, which people don't know because I'm using them in different spaces. But now I'm like everyone that's read the book is going to go, yeah, I already heard that. Heard that. You can't use that. So I'm going to have to come up with new jokes and new examples, and I'm gonna have to refresh my content now.
Oh my goodness. That's huge. We didn't think about that.
No.
All this new material you're going to have to come up with. But people experience it differently when you're in person with them. They won't even notice. They won't even notice.
Fingers crossed.
Exactly. All of those jokes just falling flat now.
Yeah. I'll tell you what is quite interesting actually. So I went on Amazon. I mean, you just shouldn't look at your reviews, should you? Anyway, I went on Amazon and there were two reviews there at the beginning from people that I didn't know closely. So I expected,
Mm.
my friends to go on and put reviews. I'm like, where are my friends' reviews? Who are, and one of them was someone that was connected with on LinkedIn, and he's in the same kind of field as me, and he wrote this really nice review. And then another was somebody that I don't know who she is, and I don't know, it's a slightly odd review, and it wasn't really bad, but it was just a bit odd, and it just suddenly struck me. Whereas I guess in my mind, I thought that people would buy my book who had already had an experience of me, so
Mm.
they know me, and therefore the book was I don't know, a complement of that. And I suddenly realized that people were going to just know me through the book,
Mm.
and I don't know why that bothers me, but it feels like, I don't know, it feels like a judgment, doesn't it? That whole
Mm.
review thing
Yeah.
that isn't related to the whole of my work. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
Does that resonate with you? Does that make sense?
Totally. Like we've got no control over who reads our books. And most of the time, like that's an amazing thing that they can be going out there and, starting to create relationships with people that we've never met. Like amazing. But also, yeah, there is the risk that someone will read just that kind of small part of our body of work and not get us.
Yeah.
Just kind of, yeah, even if it's not dramatic, like, they just like giving you a 1-star review, and, even if it's just a bit like, yeah, I don't think they've really got me or got this, that is the risk. That is the risk. But I think the potential for impact and for reaching new people kind of outweighs that.
Definitely. And again, it's that, what's the discomfort that I'm just going to
Yes.
get used to in service of helping as many people as possible through the book. That's just the discomfort that some people are going to pick up my book and it's not going to be for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Why those people feel the need to write a review, I don't know, but that's their stuff. I mean, I was at your book launch a few days ago now, and what I found amazing was to be in that room with so many people that you've worked with, and to hear about the impact that your work, that this course and the material in this book has had on people. It was really, yeah, it was quite profound. And not, it wasn't like everybody got a chance to share and talk, but the people who did, it was like, wow, like this work's already had made such a big difference. I mean, what was it like for you to be in that room celebrating your book with a lot of the people who've been on the journey with you?
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for the emotion of it. So I thought that it
Mm.
was going to be, a celebration in the sense of, glass of wine, lots of cake,
Yeah.
and like yay me a little bit.
Yeah.
I hadn't realized that, yeah, the emotions about the work that I've been doing, because again, I do that work because I want to make a difference to the people that are making massive difference in our society.
Mm.
So it absolutely is it's coming from a values place for me, and I am used to people saying, oh, thank you, that your work was really helpful to me. I'm used to getting feedback on my work,
Yeah.
and what I felt in that moment was that people were talking about me as a
Mhm.
person, and and I think that really, I don't know, really obviously touched me, but it was a real surprise that I wasn't expecting. Because my partner read out a card and I had no idea. Well, I had no idea he was going to do a big speech. And I had no idea that he was going to read out this card that I received, that someone had sent me with one of my old coaches had sent me with a picture of his family, and had said what a difference that working with me had made to him as a father. And he ended it by thanking me for my being. And I think those
Mm.
words in particular, yeah, they really got me
Yeah.
emotionally. I think because I've I've struggled with difficult thoughts, and there have been times when I haven't wanted to be here. And I think then when you've got someone saying your being really matters, it it got me in the gut.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets me in the gut now, you
Yeah,
you you sharing that. Absolutely. Absolutely. It was very special to be
it
in that
was.
room, actually. Really, really powerful experience. So if somebody's listening to this, Hazel, and they are just maybe at the beginning of their book writing journey, what one piece of advice would you give them?
I know that they will have heard this before,
Hmm.
but just find a small and easy way to start. So
Mm,
for the first 3 months, and you think I wrote the bulk of this book in 6 months?
yeah.
For the first 3 months, I wrote for 15 minutes a day.
Mm,
And so I think finding a way to take the pressure off. And I think that's probably the thing that I worked on the most, whether that was the pressure to write. When that day I tried to write for 8 hours, that was funny. Uh,
8 hours.
just take the pressure off.
Mm,
Start really, really small, and it will go where it goes. And I think, again, I think the theme of our chat today, hasn't it? There's been lots about letting go, but it is
yeah.
that whole, just find an easy way to do a little bit,
Yeah.
whether that's every day, whether that's whatever your rhythm is. But there is just something, isn't there, in the starting
Oh, totally.
that,
Totally.
and that's the hardest. That is the hardest bit,
Yeah.
is the action of starting. And it's letting go of the right time or the right idea or the right anything. It's like how you think that you're going to take action once you know what your purpose is,
Yeah.
and not realizing that your purpose comes through your action. It's the other way
Totally.
round.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with writing. The writing comes when you when you take action, not when the right time has come.
100%. 100%. And not when you've got it all figured out. It's like, just
No.
begin. Just begin. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for joining me in the Unbound Writers Club today. I mean, I'm just so grateful that we've got to kind of work and play together in this way, and to be a part of this book going out into the world. Yeah, it feels like such an honor. So thank you. For those listening, Hazel, who want to find out more about you and your work, what's the best way for them to do that?
So my website address is my name, because it's all about ego, really. Hazel Anderson-Turner, no dashes or anything, all one word. And there's lots of different info there, and some freebie things that you can download and get a feel for my work. And yeah, so that's probably the best place to start.
Perfect. We'll make sure that's in the show notes. Well, thank you so much. It's been great to connect and talk more about this journey. And yeah, who knows? Maybe more books in the works. No pressure, but
I have started, actually.
Yeah. Watch this space.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks, Hazel.